Christmas time is here. Everybody knows there's not a better time of year. Hear that sleigh, Santa's on his way. Hip hip parade for Christmas vacation. Got a ton of stuff to celebrate. Now it's getting closer, I can't wait. Gonna make this holiday as perfect as can be. Just wait and see this Christmas vacation. This old house sure is looking good. Got ourselves the finest snowman in the neighborhood. Ain't it fun? Always on the run. That's how it's done on Christmas vacation. Let's all deck the halls and light the lights. Get a toasty fire burning bright. Give St. Nick the warmest welcome that he's ever had. We're so glad it's Christmas vacation.
Ho, 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 ho. Welcome everyone to the next episode, the latest episode of Comedies of the 1980s, presented by the Movie Zone. It's me, the Kyoster, Kieran Kyo, bringing it to you from YouTube, CKTV, and it is here on the channel, and I'm here bringing you the fourth episode of the Movie Zone presents the Comedies of the 1980s, and this is the special, this is the Christmas special, and it is the Movie Zone presents the Christmas Comedies of the 1980s, episode 4 of the series, and I have 6 of the greatest Christmas films to come out of that decade, and it is, I've whittled them down from about 20 pretty decent Christmas films from the 80s, and I've come up with the best 6 to bring you here tonight on the Christmas Comedies of the 80s, and they include actors such as Bill Murray, Chevy Chase, Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd. Of course, the other films will include The Gremlins and a couple of other films as well. But I'm going to bring you now, and we're going to talk about the first of these films that I'm going to talk about today on the Christmas Comedies of the 1980s, the Movie Zone. Here, fourth episode of this series. It's getting good reports so far, a lot of good feedback from episode 1, which was the Thanksgiving special, from episode 2, and from episode 3 as well. Isn't doing too bad. I only put that out a couple of days ago, but the fourth episode now is the Christmas one, and you know, I've been looking forward to bringing you the Christmas show this year on CKTV. I may have a Christmas music show coming up on my Mixcloud channel. That could come along in the next week or two, but this is the movie Christmas show, and as I said, there's a few more plans for shows, like movie-based shows, coming up in the next couple of months on CKTV on YouTube. I've had ideas. We're going to be doing a Terminator anthology show, which will be a show all about the 4 Terminators so far, and then a look ahead to this film that's out this April, which is Terminator 5, which is called Terminator Genesis. That is a big, big deal in the film world, and because of its likeness in the trailer, there's a big likeness to Terminator 2, which was the biggest Terminator ever, Terminator 2 Judgment Day. So we're going to have a big special on the Terminator coming up in the next while. Also coming on CKTV YouTube, it will be a 1980s action movie, a few shows on action movies, like a series on the action movies of the 1980s. And that should be a lot of fun as well, because there's some brilliant action movies, including the likes of Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and loads of others that really made the action movies of the 80s worthwhile. Also, I've got ideas to continue my Batman series, which I started a couple of years ago, and we might be going into talking about the entire Batman animated series. That could be worth looking at in the months ahead as well. But right now, I'm talking the Christmas comedies of the 1980s, and we're going to start off with the first one. It's a film that I have watched a few times, and I watched it again last night. It's directed by a guy that's come up a lot, and we have talked about a lot of his films on the other shows, and that guy is John Landis. He directed it. It stars none other than Dan Aykroyd, who at this stage of his career, 1988, I believe, he was well known for Ghostbusters. He was well known for the likes of the film Spies Like Us. He was very well known for one or two other very popular films at that stage in his career. So Dan Aykroyd was top notch. He starred alongside Eddie Murphy, who, legendary Eddie Murphy, of course, was in so many big films over the 1980s. We covered 3 on the last show, which were Coming to America and the first 2 Beverly Hills Cop movies. But also, he's been in a few great films that we will cover on the action series as well. Also in this film, Jamie Lee Curtis in one of her early roles, and a few other names pop up in this movie, including James Belushi, who we covered on episode 3 in that film, Taking Care of Business. But Belushi makes a cameo appearance in this film, which is Trading Places. Hadn't named the film there, I thought it did, but it is actually Trading Places, which was a brilliant film. Watched it again there last night, as I said. It is a Christmassy type film. It's set around Christmas time, but it has got that kind of a business feel to it, because it's all about this guy who is, because of a bet, he loses his place in his job, and it's given to the African American guy who's known as a thief around the area, but there's a whole changeover, they trade places, so to speak, and then the film ends up that they both discover that it was a scam and it was a bet, and they actually put the 2 brothers, who are the Duke brothers, and they put them out of business by going to Wall Street, and there's a double kind of double meaning to the name Trading Places then, because it's about the 2 guys trading their places and their identities, and then it shows you them in Wall Street winning all this money for their company and stuff, and winning out the company, and they're in, of course, the biggest trading place in the world, Wall Street, in that scene. So it's Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd. Very good chemistry between these 2, and Jamie Lee Curtis, James Belushi, among other big names in that one. Trading Places, one of the best Christmas films of the 1980s, in my opinion. Let's have a look at Trading Places.
I had the most absurd nightmare. I was poor and no one liked me.
I know what you're thinking. You see Paul getting best? We can make it, baby. Me and you.
Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy are Trading Places.
Help! Help! Hey, I don't want your bag, man. Help! Help! Help!
I'll bet that man could run our company as well as your young Winthorpe.
Are we talking about a wager, Randolph?
Is there a problem, officers?
Oh, Winthorpe. I'm glad your parents are not alive to see this.
What? No, wait! Now, this is totally preposterous. I'm not a thief.
Here we are. William.
Take off your clothes.
You are making a career decision here.
Take off your clothes.
Did you hear what this man said to me? I have witnesses. This man is physically threatening me.
Hey, Randy, Monte, this is nice. I like this.
We are commodities brokers, William. Commodities are agricultural products, like wheat, which is used to make bread, pork bellies, which is used to make bacon, which you might find in a bacon and lettuce and tomato sandwich.
I'm considering going long on April wheat. What do you think, Valentine?
Freeze, slimeball.
Moi?
Put that gun away at once, Winthrop. You lost your mind?
Dan Aykroyd, Eddie Murphy. They're not just getting rich, they're getting even.
Do you have any better ideas?
Yeah, you know, it occurs to me that the best way you hurt rich people is by turning them into poor people.
Dan Aykroyd, Eddie Murphy. Ralph Bellamy.
We've got to get Wilson and tear up the cell.
Don Amici.
Randolph, this isn't Monopoly money we're playing with.
Denham Elliott.
What a scumbag.
And Jamie Lee Curtis.
By the way, food and rent, not the only things around here that cost money. You sleep on the couch.
Trading Places. Some very funny business.
South on in April of 142!
Great stuff there. Trading Places, one of the best films from John Landis, of course, who is a genius when it comes to comedy movies, especially in that decade, the 1980s. Okay, the Christmas comedies of the 80s continues here on the Movie Zone. It's episode 4 of this great series. And next up, we're going to talk a lot about Bill Murray in a Richard Donner film, and that film is a take on the Charles Dickens classic Christmas Carol, but this one's called Scrooged. And it's all about a TV president, the president of a TV company, who has worked his way up to president from a simple hand in the TV company. Of course, he worked in the mailroom of the TV company, and he had made his way up to being president. But with all the success came a lot of very hard work, and it also came a lot of becoming very nasty. He became very mean, and he also became very, very Scrooge-like. So, hence the name Scrooged. Murray, the story plays out anyway like the idea of the Christmas Carol of Scrooge, and getting, of course, visited by the three spirits and stuff, and very, very funny play out of this whole story. We see appearances in this one from Karen Allen, John Forsythe, Bobcat Goldthwait, who's one of my favourites. He's one of the funniest. I think he is one of the funniest guys in comedy. I've seen a stand-up show recently with Bobcat, and it's very, very funny, and his squeaky voice and his high-pitched sound, and then he's always getting picked on in this particular film, so he really it's the funniest thing when he makes these noises when he's complaining and stuff. So I really love that character in this film. Carol Kane, Robert Mitchum, Michael J. Pollard, and Alfred Woodard also feature in this one, and very much worth noting in this, none other than the legendary Danny Elfman does the music for this particular film, Scrooged. Elfman, of course, well known for his music for Batman and Batman Returns, and I think he worked on Batman Forever as well. Elfman worked on all the Tim Burton films of the early 90s. Danny Elfman really helps. The scores by this man are genius. He really helps the films 100%. Like, I think he makes them even better than they are. I think Danny Elfman a lot of his work. He recently brought out a music, all the scores from all his movies that he had teamed up with Tim Burton, and they brought out all the scores from the films in a big box set. And I think that is, people would pick that up. Really hardcore fans of his work would pick that up, and I think that is a treasure of a thing to bring out as well. Danny Elfman, top-notch guy. Okay, this Richard Donner film, if you have never heard of Richard Donner, I'm sure you have, but he has, of course, directed the likes of the Lethal Weapon series. He directed Superman, a couple of the Superman films, and he's a well-known director in Hollywood. Also, this is, of course, a Paramount picture, and I have to say, Scrooged is one of my must-watches every Christmas. It's a 1988 film, and I'd say I've been watching it since about 92, 93. I really love this one. And definitely would recommend it to everyone. Scrooged, I'm sure you've seen it if you're a film fan, if you're a comedy fan, especially if you're a Bill Murray fan. And I actually put it up on Facebook the day before I started recording these shows, or the week before maybe, but that I was going to be doing a Comedies of the 80s series, and I got a couple of requests that they want to hear. They want the first episode to be all about Bill Murray, but I decided I wasn't going to dedicate complete episodes to one person. But I've had a few of Bill Murray's films on the shows so far, and he's definitely one of the best from the 80s. Definitely a great comedian. But it's worth noting as well, actually, that the guy that wanted me to do a Bill Murray episode was Kieran McGee. So if you're watching out there, if you're watching this show, I hope you're happy with my representation of Bill Murray here. Kieran McGee, you know who you are. I'm not going to say the full name, but he's on Facebook and he knows me well. He's actually a relation of mine, so there you go. But Bill Murray, a great character actor, and he actually, that same guy actually told me that Bill Murray and Chevy Chase don't speak. They hate each other. They don't like each other at all. So that's an interesting bit of trivia for you. They were, of course, neck and neck doing these films in the 80s and stuff and into the 90s. And they weren't. They were probably looking for a top box office and looking for the best roles and everything against each other and stuff. So that must be the reason, or maybe it's just a personal reason. But Scrooged there by Bill Murray anyway definitely would get a 9.5, maybe even a 10 out of 10 for me. Brilliant stuff indeed.
Seven o'clock, Psycho sees Santa's workshop, and only Lee Majors can stop them. In the night the reindeer die. Be here.
You can't show that commercial. That thing looked like the Manson family Christmas special.
Think I'm way off base?
Yes, you're a tad off base, sir.
Frank Cross is more than the youngest network president in television history.
Call security, have them change his locks, and toss him out of the building.
Oh, he's fired? But it's Christmas.
Thank you. Call accounting. Stop his bonus. Oh, watch out.
Ah!
He's a thoughtful boss.
Thanks, boys. Get the nurse.
A generous brother.
What did he give you last year?
I don't remember. A shower curtain. Excuse me, ma'am. I think you dropped something here.
And a true humanitarian.
I can't get the antlers glued onto this little guy. We've tried crazy glue.
Have you tried Staples?
But his life is about to change.
That was a good one.
You are going to be visited by 3 ghosts tomorrow at noon.
God, tomorrow's bad for me, Lou. As a matter of fact, the whole rest of the week is a washout.
Anyone who thinks he hates Christmas is wrong.
Go back to Jersey, you moron!
It's ghosts he hates.
I love that bit!
I'm the ghost of Christmas present.
Bill Murray. Karen Allen.
It sounded like you'd seen a ghost.
A ghost? John Forsythe. Bobcat Goldthwait.
Hey!
you glad to see me, or is this a shotgun in your pocket? You know this one?
Everybody knows this one. Let's go now.
How does everybody know this one?
Carol Kane, Robert Mitchum,
I really care.
David Johansen.
Oh, I'm having the weirdest day.
This holiday season, see Bill Murray get Scrooged.
Hey, back off, big man. That may work with the chicks, but not with me.
Okay, we're going to move on now, and we're going to move on to a film that I think we all love. And it's a film that I've watched a few times in the past, but I just watched it there tonight before I made this episode, and I thought I would refresh the memory. And it is Chevy Chase and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. And wow, you heard it at the top of the show, folks. It was the theme song to this particular film. I love the theme song, and everything about this National Lampoon series is very, very funny, very, very entertaining. It really is the continuation of the comedy classic that is the Griswolds Family Vacations. They stay at home for this one, the Christmas Vacation, and they're determined to have that perfect Christmas at home when all the family arrives at their door, and they end up having a family vacation that goes wrong. It goes, as Meatloaf would say, it goes to hell in a handbasket, and definitely is a very, very funny film between dogs and squirrels and mad people. Every person in the room in that film is a different type of character, and they're very, very funny characters. I think it's definitely the best example of a family Christmas film. I think this one, the one with Jamie Lee Curtis and Dan Aykroyd and Tim Allen back in 2005 it came close to Christmas Vacation, and that was of course called Christmas with the Cranks. That was very good as well. I covered that one on my Christmas special a couple of years ago as well, so you should check that one out if you're on my channel. The 2012 Christmas special. It was the top 10 Christmas films of all time, and I talked about a lot of other Christmas films that didn't make the list. But Chevy Chase's Christmas Vacation, the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I want to go in now to talking about who's behind this film. It's had some great names in it, actually. Juliette Lewis plays Audrey in this one. They change over the characters once again. They change them from the first. The two kids are changed in the first, second, third, and fourth episodes, which is worth noting. By the way, the film was made in 1989, and it was Juliette Lewis playing Audrey, and she went on a few years later to be in another film, which is an absolute opposite type of film, but she was excellent as the Mallory in that Natural Born Killers a few years later. But anyway, it just goes to show when you're an actor, you can play loads of different types of roles. It really helps. Okay, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation was directed by Jeremiah Chechik. So there's somebody that hasn't really been on the scene up until this point in Hollywood, but he came in with this one. Very, very good. I would say Chevy Chase had a big role to play in the making of these films, though. But also names that are in here. It's produced and written by the legendary John Hughes, which is worth noting as well. So John Hughes had a big hand in this one. He, of course, as we have been covering a lot of John Hughes' stuff, is the guy behind Planes, Trains and Automobiles, Uncle Buck, and of course the Home Alone series. But Also, from the Christmas Vacation, it features Randy Quaid, Beverly D'Angelo, Juliette Lewis, John Randolph, and Doris Roberts, and of course the legendary Chevy Chase. That is Warner Brothers movie, of course, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Unbelievable stuff. One of my favorite Christmas movies. Couldn't be not one of my favorite movies of all time, but one of my favorite Christmas movies, and definitely up there with my favorite comedies of all time. I would give that one 9 out of 10 for sure.
To be jolly, fa la 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 la. After vacationing across America and throughout Europe,
Take it, Russ.
this holiday season, the Griswolds are going to play it safe.
Clark, we're stuck under a truck.
Oops. They're staying at home.
I give you the Griswold family Christmas tree.
Hope you're not getting sap all over your sweater, Clark.
All Clark wants is a quiet, old-fashioned Christmas. Sorry.
Got a little knot here. You can work on that.
What he's going to get is the gift that keeps on living.
Merry Christmas.
His family.
We didn't come to impose.
Oh, hell, there's plenty of room.
Do you sleep with your brother? Do you know how sick and twisted that is, Mom? Well, I'm sleeping with your father.
Have you got a kiss for me? You better take a rain check on that, Art. He's got lip fungus they ain't identified yet.
But no holiday could ever be more deeply touching.
We were gonna call, but Eddie wanted to make it a surprise.
If I woke up tomorrow with my head sewn to the carpet, I wouldn't be more surprised than I am right now.
We're really gonna fly down the hill with this stuff.
So genuinely moving.
Can I refill your eggnog for you? Drive you out to the middle of nowhere, leave you for dead?
More truly uplifting.
Can I show you something?
I was just browsing.
Or more down to earth.
Merry Christmas!
If Santa is smart, he'll stay well clear of this joint. It's a death trap.
Than Christmas with the Griswolds.
Everybody come out quick, look at the lights!
They want you to say grace.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
This year, let Chevy Chase light up your holidays. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
That thing had 9 lives. She just spent them all.
You woo, crack up.
Well, we're going to be back. I'm going to be back with the next 3 of the 6 movies, but we have covered 3 good ones there: Christmas Vacation, Scrooged, and Trading Places. We'll be back right after this. Hello everyone, and welcome back to CKTV, welcome back to YouTube, and welcome back to this, the Movie Zone Christmas Special. And it is the Movie Zone comedies of the 1980s, Christmas comedies on tonight's show, because we have covered 3 already. You just seen a trailer there for one of the other films, but right now we'd just like to recap on what we've covered on this episode. And of course we covered Scrooged, starring Bill Murray, directed by Richard Donner. We've covered Trading Places, starring Eddie Murphy, Dan Aykroyd, Jamie Lee Curtis, among others, James Belushi. And that one, of course, was directed by John Landis. And we also covered the Chevy Chase Christmas Vacation movie by National Lampoon's, of course, written by John Hughes, and another brilliant film. And they were the 3 we covered so far on this Christmas special. But now we're going to cover 3 more top Christmas films from the 1980s. I whittled it down to the top 6 in my opinion, and this is the Elite 6, the greatest 6 of you could choose from, I would say. But there was a few others as well that were Christmas movies in the 80s, but I think it's safe to say I've made a good choice. Anyway, we're going to start the last 3 now, and the first of the last 3 is Gremlins. Now, Gremlins, you might think of Gremlins and you might think that's a horror movie, that's not a Christmas comedy, but it's actually a Christmas film because it was out at Christmas time and it has a kind of a backdrop of Christmas in the movie. So it's a comedy horror. It's not really a horror, it's kind of like a skit, but it's a comedy one, and it was directed by Joe Dante. It was produced by Michael Fennell. It starred Zach Gilligan, Phoebe Cates, and Howie Mandel. There was no real big names in this film. As you might know, in Gremlins 2, which is out a couple of years later, I think it was Gremlins 2 was out in 1990 or 91, but that has Hulk Hogan making a cameo appearance. You might recall that. But anyway, a lot of big stuff. Warner Brothers distributed this film. It was out in June 1984, but it had a Christmas theme to it because it was made around Christmas time. It had a budget of $11 million, which was a lot at that time. Nowadays, it wouldn't be a wide lot for a film budget. But the sequel, as we know, the Gremlins 2, The New Batch, came along in 1990, which featured the appearance from Hulk Hogan. So Gremlins really it's about this guy discovers these strange alien-like creatures, and he ended up being very kind of comical and stuff. Steven Spielberg was involved in the presentation of this film, among other, interestingly enough, big names in the background staff for this one. But Gremlins definitely was something different, and something you didn't see come along every month in the box office. But I think it was a fairly successful first one, hence them doing a sequel. Gremlins, I think, would be, if you haven't seen it in a while, it might be worth a watch. That was Gremlins, folks. So, okay, the next one we're going to cover now in this Christmas special for the Movie Zone, the comedies of the 1980s, and this next one is called Santa Claus the Movie, and a lot of you might recall Santa Claus the Movie, a 1985 film, starring Dudley Moore, also featuring in this one Burgess Meredith, of course, known for his role as the Penguin in the Batman '66 series, and also he was well known for playing Mickey in the Rocky series. Also, as you may notice, this one was directed by Janet Schwark and was produced by Pierre Spengler. Interesting film, very funny film at times. Really a family comedy adventure. It was very big in the UK and the US. It had a $35 million budget. So that was pretty big for 1985. Santa Claus the Movie was basically, it was Dudley Moore and Santa Claus became buddies in this one, and it was basically, there were a few of the elves and Dudley Moore had to try and save Santa Claus type of thing. The usual type of Santa Claus movie. I wouldn't be a big fan of this one. I preferred the film of nearly the same name, which was The Santa Claus in 1994, starring Tim Allen, and it also had the sequel, which was Santa Claus, The Santa Claus 2, and then of course The Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause, which featured Martin Short as Jack Frost. But they're talked about on the Christmas special from a couple of years ago that I done, and that is available to watch on this YouTube channel. Check out my Christmas special from a couple of years ago, where I talk all about my top 10 Christmas films of all time, and I also I give a lot of honorable mentions, and I talk about many of the great Christmas films over the last few decades. But Santa Claus the movie, definitely up there with the best of the Christmas movies, the Christmas comedies from the 1980s, and that's what we're focusing on in this series.
The prophecy has come to pass that there would come to us a chosen one, and that he himself would be an artist and a skilled maker of toys. From this day on, now and forever, you will bring our gifts to all the children in all the world. This is your legacy and your gift, as is the gift of flight.
Alexander Salkind presents Dudley Moore.
Merry Christmas! It certainly should be.
And John Lithgow in The Real Story of Santa Claus. Now, for the first time, the legend comes to life. In an Alexander and Elia Salkind production, Santa Claus, the movie. Seeing is believing.
We move on to another very funny film, a film that I just recapped on last night. I watched it because I knew I was going to be doing this show tonight, and I decided to take a look at this one on Netflix, and it is Ernest Saves Christmas. And as we know, Ernest has had 8 or 9 reiterations of his stuff. It's like a series of comedies, all with the same actor, the main character Ernest, played by, of course, starring Jim Varney. Jim Varney, of course, plays Ernest in all them movies. This one came out in 1988. It's a Christmas comedy movie. It's directed by John Cherry. Jim Varney, as funny as always, and it's very unorthodox style of funny. You know, he's a really weird kind of guy, but he's really good at being weird and being funny as well. This film's all about him trying to find a replacement for an aging Santa Claus. So you can imagine how strange and weird and funny that can be. I personally thought it was a very tongue-in-cheek kind of comedy. It's more for, it's more of a children's comedy than meant for adults, but it is very funny all the same. I think his quirky style, geeky kind of way of going on is very, very funny. So Ernest would not be up there with the greatest 80s comedies, really, his stuff, but they're almost B movies, I think. But he's almost there's a cult following there for Ernest, the Ernest films, and Ernest Saves Christmas was a bit of fun for a lot of people anyway. Definitely one of the top 6 that I've whittled down for the Christmas movies. So Ernest Saves Christmas, I would give that one probably about 6 out of 10, but it's a good rating for a Christmas film. And also the other films that I reviewed, Gremlins, I would give about 7.5, and I would give Santa Claus the movie about 7 out of 10 as well. All very good for this time of year, but I think you wouldn't watch them any other time of year anyway. But Ernest, Santa Claus the movie, and Gremlins, I think all of them you could you would argue, I think you wouldn't have any problem arguing, because you would be right, that none of these three are what I would call better than the three that we talked about previously on the show, like Scrooged, Christmas Vacation, and the other one, Trading Places, are all a lot better, in my opinion, than Ernest Saves Christmas and the others. But there has to be a order of greatness, and I don't think these are the top. I think the best of these Christmas movies I've been reviewing in the show has to go to Christmas Vacation. I think that would be the best. Scrooge would be a second, Trading Places third, and then Ernest fourth. That would be my, rating of them. But I hope you enjoyed my Christmas special here. It's been fun bringing you my thoughts on the 80s Christmas movies and the 80s Christmas comedies. Check out my best of Christmas movies of all time in my Christmas special from a couple of years ago, as I mentioned. And subscribe, like on YouTube, Facebook, all the rest. All they're all linked. All my websites are linked together anyway. The Kyoster, Kieran Kyo, check it out, and it might give you positive thinking, if nothing else. Ernest Saves Christmas, good show, and all these Christmas comedies, the best thing you could watch at Christmas time, I think, and you always have to think positive at Christmas time as well. It's all about having the goodwill to share. Okay, folks, it's been the Kyoster here for the YouTube CKTV Comedies of the 1980s Movie Zone Christmas Comedies of the 1980s special here, and Happy Christmas, everyone. Ho, ho, ho. Join me for episode 5, which is coming up in a few days' time, where I'll be talking about the comedy movies of Michael Keaton and his longtime buddy and a guy he worked with quite a bit, and a few of the films also of Tim Burton. So it's a Michael Keaton, Tim Burton Movie Zone Comedies of the 1980s show. That is episode 5 coming your way in the next few days. Stay tuned in for that, folks. For the Christmas special, Kyoster over, ha ha, and out.
It's that time. Christmas time is here. Everybody knows there's not a better time of year. Hear that sleigh, Santa's on his way. Hip hip hooray for Christmas vacation. Got a ton of stuff to celebrate. Now it's getting closer, I can't wait. Gonna make this holiday as perfect as can be. Just wait and see this Christmas vacation. This old house sure is looking good. Got ourselves the finest snowman in the neighborhood. Ain't it fun? Always on the run. That's how it's done on Christmas vacation. Let's all deck the halls and light the lights. Get a toasty fire burning bright. Give St. Nick the warmest welcome that he's ever had. We're so glad it's Christmas vacation. And when the nights are peaceful and serene, we can cuddle up and do our Christmas